The government admitted tonight that it was guilty of an error of judgment when it promised hundreds of child abuse victims that all allegations they wanted would be investigated by the Child Abuse Commission. But Minister Noel Dempsey also argued that the legal costs of hearings are threatening to equal compensation, as they published a long-awaited review of the inquiry which says the hearings could go on for over 11 years. Accepting the review's recommendations for major changes in the way the Commission operates, Minister Dempsey said the original outlines for the inquiry were too optimistic.
It's now 4 months since Judge Mary Laffoy announced she'd be resigning from the chair of the Child Abuse Commission. Minister Noel Dempsey denied stymieing her work, but his suggestion that only sample allegations of abuse should be investigated soured the already bad relations between government and Commission. Now Judge Sean Ryan, Mary Laffoy's successor, has come up with his own proposals for a speedier and cheaper process which he believes would be fair to all concerned. The judge says that without substantial changes, it would take at least 11 years to complete the Commission's work. He recommends removing the obligation to investigate each and every allegation of abuse, and that joint hearings should take place instead of separate ones. After consulting with victims and church organisations, Judge Sean Ryan intends writing to each of the 1,712 people who have asked the Commission to investigate their cases to establish if they still want to go ahead with that. Those who do will then have their Commission files examined to eliminate cases where there's no realistic prospect of establishing what probably happened to them. As he presented the Ryan Review to reporters, Noel Dempsey was reminded that the previous government, of which he was a member, had promised victims that every allegation of abuse which they wanted investigated would be investigated.
I think one of the things that Judge Sean Ryan says in his report is that we tried to do too much in the legislation.
Which means you were doing too little.
I would accept that criticism.
You scumbag.
Of judgment, if you want to call it that.
You bastard,
Dempsey.
Dempsey.
Of judgment based on trying to do what was right for the victims.
But the planned changes drew a mixed reaction from victims' groups.
I think victims will be very, very angry that the government has gone back on its promise to discontinue sampling of abuse victims' cases.
They do seem to be taking on board the fact that they will not, under any circumstances, deal with sampling. They have said that sampling is not an issue, but hopefully they will stick to that.
Noel Dempsey said that without the kind of reforms the judge was suggesting, taxpayers could end up paying as much to lawyers as to victims in compensation. Joe Little, RT.